What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review for Greenleaf Season 5, Episode 5. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I hope you enjoyed this review, and let's go. Hope the sound is better. I've been working on it. I know there's been some issues, but I'm hoping it worked out. So, excuse me. We start this episode off. It is the last day at Calvary. Now, remember they agreed last week that they were going to do church service at the house because nobody could bring themselves to actually go into Calvary that last Sunday. Now, Sophia has been having a rough night because she said her phone has been blowing up all night. Girls from Hampton have been bothering her, so I knew it had something to do with those pictures. Come to find out, somebody who follows Dante took a screenshot of the pictures before the pictures got taken down. Listen, doesn't surprise me, not shocked by it. I said it last week when they tried to make it seem like Zora, was Bill Gates or something that could erase stuff off the internet, child. Listen, once it hits the internet, it is on the internet. It is always and forever, somewhere, somehow. And so now, of course, she's supposed to be going back to Hampton, and she ain't really feeling it. So we get downstairs for the church service, and everybody's there, including AJ and Noah. Jacob and Clarissa decided that they're going to tell Zora after church about the divorce, so we got that coming up. And Charity and y'all know who I'm talking about, Lady May's assistant, they doing the music, honey. They got their music ministry, and they're so cute. They call each other Peaches and Herb, honey. It was so cute. Oh, it's my lipstick. Okay. They were calling each other Peaches and Herb. And so Lady May got up to give her give her word, and you have Clarissa and Jacob sniping at each other. And then finally, Bishop had to tell them, listen, I'm going to need y'all to settle down and chill out. Like, grow up. Act like some adults. Act like you got some class. Okay? Now, Lady May's word was new beginnings. Simple enough. New beginnings. Now, after church, we got a couple of things going on. We have brunch, which is a fit for kings. I mean, they got enough food to feed all of Calgary. I don't know if they thought people was going to show up or what they thought was going to happen. We found out that old girl's grandmama been texting her the whole time talking about how horrible service was. They even had the bulldozers outside right after service taking pictures. Judy and what's her face taking pictures. Phil taking pictures in their hard hats and everything, child. We have Clarissa and Jacob still arguing over what week he can have on his plate, child. We have Bishop end up having a conversation with AJ. We're going to get to that in a minute. It was something else. Zora and Sophia are talking about the pictures and everything. And, Bishop ends up telling AJ, let me talk to you for a minute, son. Let me holler at you. Because both of them were watching Clarissa and Jacob arguing. And he said, you know what? With everything around them, with all this positive and beautiful and everything that's going on around them, child, they still find a way to damn argue with each other. That's what the other thing was. Lady May is on her way over to go talk to Rochelle's sister. She said, listen, I done let two men go over there, and they neither one of y'all handle it. So now let me go over there and talk to her. I got this. Y'all know how Lady May is, honey. Lady May said, I got this. So Bishop ends up taking AJ out to the barn. And he told AJ, he said, listen, don't worry about it. He said, I ain't gonna try to save you unless that's what you want. And it made me think about Spiller Boy TV's review, his very first review of this season, when he was like, please don't have AJ being some born-again preacher at the end of this, y'all. When he first said it, I was like, But now I'm just like, Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either, y'all. But Bishop gave AJ this whole story about his dream car was his GTO. And he asked his father for it. He kept asking his father for it. And his father kept telling him to pray for it. And his father finally gave him the car, although it was in parts. And Bishop had to put the car together because his father felt like, what is it? Works without. Y'all know the verse. I know y'all gonna quote it to me. But what is it? Oh shoot, something without works is dead. It's not blessings without works is dead, but y'all know what I'm saying. So basically, you got the car you asked for. You prayed for a car. You got the car you asked for. You just got to do some work to make it what you want it to be. And I thought about my former pastor used to always say, God will give you what you ask for, but you got to be specific. When people say they want a man, God bring them a man. You ain't asked for a man with a job. You ain't asked for a man, that looked a certain way. You just said, bring me a man. Well, a man showed up. You ain't want him. You asked for a GTO. Your daddy got you a GTO. You ain't saying GTO that I could drive now. And so he told AJ, he said, listen, I don't know anything about cars. And AJ was like, yeah, all I know how to do is drive them and hot wire them. He said, but if you help me, if we do this together and you help me put this car together, it's yours. And in my mind, I was thinking, are all those parts any good anymore? Like he said, he hadn't even opened up the box. Like he never brought himself to open up the box. But he done had that box since he was 18 years old, full of the parts for a car. Bishop had to be in his 60s, y'all. Or at least knocking on him. And I'm thinking, are them parts even any good? Anyway, and of course AJ was like, what? So they gave them something to work on. They have a little project. And I thought that was cute. That was sweet. Then we have Carissa was sitting there. I mean, not Carissa. Charity was sitting there. She was sitting with the baby. And she asked the girls to watch the baby for her because she had to go take care of something. And, of course, Sophia don't want no parts of no baby. Sophia don't want to be around no baby. She don't want no parts of no baby. But Zora was like, I got you, girl. I got you. But then that's when Jacob and Clarissa came and said, listen, we need to talk to you. So they take her upstairs and tell her about the divorce. And, of course, she immediately took all of her anger out on her daddy. Because in her mind, he's the reason why they're having a divorce. And, she was like, listen. And, even when Clarissa, to her credit, tried to say it's not all on Jacob, she was like, yeah, what'd you do? You cooked too many meals, too many perfect meals that sat in the, oven while he was out with his, mistresses or whatever. And, of course, he was like, watch your mouth, girl. And she was like, you know what? I've been watching my mouth. I've been watching my mouth for way too long. And, again, at the end of the day, yes, Clarissa had an affair. And Clarissa has been she ain't the easiest woman to live with. But you did do her kind of dirty, Jacob. So, Zora's going to have to process that. Even though she's an adult, she still has to process it and deal with her anger towards her dad. Now, they're going to take Winky to a therapist so they can tell Winky why he's at a therapist so they can process it. And Clarissa told Jacob, she said, listen, I'm still willing to cancel this. I'm still willing to call this whole thing off and try to figure this out and try to make things work. But what I'm not going to do is put my son through what we just put my daughter through. Because she's a little older and she can handle it a little bit better. I'm not doing that to Winky. So once we tell Winky, it's a wrap. Okay? And of course, Jacob was like, fine by me. That's good. I'm fine with that. Now, Lady Maiden took herself down to the church, honey. Tamara's church, honey. And she sees what the woman is doing. She sees all the good things that woman is doing. She sees her giving out the food. And she even goes in there to talk to her. And she asks her, she said, you never wanted more than this? Like, you never wanted to aspire to something bigger? She was like, what? She was like, I know some people aspire to, big churches and stuff. She said, but I always just listened to the gospel. And I always wanted to minister to the poor. God didn't build no temple. She said Jesus. Jesus didn't build no temple. Jesus didn't do all that. I'm just trying to, do what God says do. And Lady Mae was looking around. Lady Mae was asked her, she said, you always been here? She said, well, I move around a lot because, the rent is high and, I can't always afford it, but I've stayed in this neighborhood. Like I've always ministered to this neighborhood. And Lady Mae said, she said, God has got a sense of humor. And of course, she was like, what you talking about? She said, I did ask God for new beginnings, but I did not mean this. And at first I was thinking, she kept looking around like that's where they were going to buy and build their new church. Like, I thought that's what they were going to do. I mean, I thought that's what she was thinking. But that is not what she was thinking. We're going to get back to that, okay? But she ended up telling her, she said, you're doing some great work here. And she left. She didn't even try to convince the woman. She just left. And, oh, I'm sorry, the woman, because the woman asked, she said, well, why do you want my house? And she said, you know I may not have a strong legal claim. But if that woman wanted my dad to have this house, all I keep thinking about is all the things I can do. You know, I can have a shelter for women. I can have this. I can do that. Like, with all of that land and with everything, I can do so many things. Now, the reality is, child, you can't afford the taxes on that place. If you can't afford rent on Skid Row, you can't afford the taxes on that place. But we're going to let that go. We're going to let that go. We're going to let that go. So yeah, but she ended up telling her, she said, you know what, you're doing good work. And she just left. She ended up leaving. So then we have Noah and Grace. Listen, we found out that Grace lost her virginity down to Calvary on the first Sunday it opened. Consecration Sunday, honey, to Noah. I said, oh, whole lot of memories down into the church, huh? But they end up having a decent moment. You know, she's being very clear to let him know, listen, there will be no boom boom. There will be no repeat of Consecration Sunday. Like, it is what it is. And you know, he was like, listen, you know, that's cool, I get it. And he was like, you're really tired, like you just need to rest. So she ends up taking a nap, you know, whatever. And he said, he said the one thing that's bothering me is, why was she gonna leave the house to Davis to begin with? Like, why was she gonna, do Mars anyway? Why was she even gonna leave the house to him to begin with? And you know, of course, Grace was like, I don't know. So when Grace woke up from her nap, she said, oh my gosh, I've been asleep for an hour. Oh my goodness. He said, gave me a chance to think. He said, when I was living in the down to the carriage house, down to the groundskeeper house, I found a journal from the guy that lived there before me, and you know, a lot of it was just notes about the property. And there was some sketches, you know, as almost like what he wanted to do if he were to inherit, like he thought he was going to get the house. And there would be notes in there talking about something, well, the Negro this came by and the Negro came by again today. And Grace was like, the groundskeeper was white. She said, groundskeeper was white just like the owner. And maybe that Negro was, I keep saying, I said Phil DeMars, I'm sorry, Davis. Maybe the Negro was Davis, was you know, Rochelle's daddy. And what's her face's dad. And I said, so of course Grace goes down there to go check it out, to go try to find the book. Because maybe that'll give them some answers as to why this one was going to leave the house to one person over the other to begin with. Maybe it's just some information there that we need. Now, Lady Mae gets home, and of course, Lady Mae on her way to her prayer closet. Because she said, you know, Bishop said, well, what happened? Like, tell me what happened. And she said, listen, you know, I think we need to give her the house. Bishop was like, what? She said, I think that's what God is telling me. I asked God for new beginnings, and I think that's the new beginning, that we need to give her this house. I think that's what God is telling me. Bishop was like, well, that ain't what God told me. Well, Bishop told her last season, God gonna need to ring my phone and tell me the same thing he told you, because he didn't tell me that. But Lady Mae said, listen, you know, I feel like that's what it is. So Bishop gonna go to Grace and basically say, listen, I feel like if we offer that woman some money, maybe she'll leave us alone. So Grace gonna say, well, how much do you need? He's gonna say, how much do you have? See, Grace is not y'all's personal bank. I'm gonna need y'all to stop going to Grace just because she, inherited a couple of $1 million that she ain't spending. Y'all need to stop using that woman like she y'all personal ATM. He's gonna say, how much do you have? That is not your business. I asked you what you wanted. It's not your business. Now, in the meantime and in between time, Charity done called up Phil's dad again. She's trying to do her part, honey. She's trying to do her part. And he listened to her. He let her talk. He said, because he answered the phone and was like, I told you had 3 strikes. The fact that he picked up the phone knowing who he thought, or at least thought he knew who was calling him, tells me he wants to talk to y'all. Y'all just gonna have to learn how to ask the right questions or have to hit the right note, because he knew who it was, or at least he thought it was Grace calling him back. And she said, no, it's not Grace. It's Charity. And he knew who Charity was. He knew who she was. So I said, she talked to him, because he told her, you got 3 minutes. Now, of course, she told him the whole story. And when she got to the end, he was like, that was more than 3 minutes. She said, yeah, but I needed you to understand that this is deeper than just, religion or whatever. And she said, but so what is it that your wife did for this company? Like, what did she do for this company, or what did this company do for her? He said, there's an old saying that says the river only runs one way. And she said, well, I understand what you're saying. But he said, no, you don't. You do not understand what I'm saying. And he hung up the phone. Again, he wants to talk to y'all. Because if he was that hard, he wouldn't have picked up the phone knowing who he thought it was. So anyway, he wants to talk to y'all. So I don't know what he knows, but he does want to talk. So then we see Bishop and Lady Mae. And Lady Mae is like, listen, why would you go to Grace for that money? Like, that money is the noose around my neck, because that money reminds me of what I did. That money reminds me of the mistake that I made. And she said that mistake, she said, I was a prisoner in my own mind with only that mistake to keep me company. Lord, she got away with words. Whoever writes her damn dialogue. But she tried to explain to Bishop, saving this house with that money is not going to make me happy. She said, forget it. It's a wrap. Let Grace keep her money. We're going to give the woman the house. That's what we're going to do. We're going to start fresh. We're going to start everything on the even keel with no cloud hanging over us. And Bishop's thing was, you're basically admitting that I'm a murderer. I mean, you basically saying you think I'm a murderer by giving them the house. And she was like, that ain't even what it's about. It ain't about you. But of course, he does what he always does. He ends up acquiescing to Lady Mae's will, and they're going to get the house back. AJ has a really good conversation with Sophia. And basically what AJ told Sophia was, grow up. He said, what is it that you want to do? I don't want to go to Hampton and deal with those bitches. He said, okay, that's what you don't want to do. What do you want to do? I want to stay here with you and with Zora. He was like, look, even if the three of us had grown up together, playing tag in the backyard, and we've known each other our whole life, at the end of the day, at a certain point, you're going to have to grow up and leave. He was like, he said, Charity and the other guy, she was like, you mean, Lord, now I can't remember his name. Jacob. He said, that ain't normal. He said, people that age don't live at home. I said, oh shit. He said, so you're going to have to grow up and you're going to have to leave. So regardless of those pictures being there or not being there or whatever the situation is, you're going to have to grow up. And she heard it, she heard what he was trying to tell her. She heard it. So finally, Charity tells the house, listen, we're going down to Calvary. And Lady Mae was like, Charity, I can't do this today. I can't. She said, we're going to Calvary, not to say goodbye, but to say thank you. And so everybody goes, including Clarissa, honey. Everybody except for Winky. Poor Winky. Winky don't get to go nowhere. But they were all down there, and, they said their goodbyes, and they, they reminisced on, the first baptism and everything like that. And they said, basically, this chapter is closed. And that's when Bishop agreed to give the house back. He said, this chapter is closed. It's a wrap. So last but not least, Lady Mae and Bishop, they ride down to go tell old girl. They go back down to her church. Now, if that place is dangerous in the middle of the day, I don't know why y'all went down there at night. Like, that decision could have waited 24 hours. I mean, I'm just saying, I feel like it could have waited until daybreak. But anyway, so they go down there. And the whole time, now, let me tell y'all what I was thinking. As she was walking up those steps, as they were walking up those steps, I was thinking, that girl gonna be dead. I was like, that woman is gonna be dead, and they're gonna be blamed for it, because it's gonna get out that she wanted the house back. I said, this is the setup. In my mind, that's what I was thinking. I was like, this is the setup. This is like the beginning of a Matlock episode with the dead body and the people standing over the dead body just as the police roll up and then the police think they did it. I just knew that's what was going to happen, but that's not. They threw me for a little bit of a loop. She opened the door and she was like, oh, y'all are back so soon? And guess who is there with her? What did I tell y'all? Rochelle. Talking about something. Didn't I tell you about these Greenleafs? They always come back just like a bad penny. And she sachets her way up out that church. And there's a SUV pulling up. Now, who y'all think driving that SUV? Now, Tasha claimed Basie dead. We ain't seen that body. But even if Basie is really dead, who y'all think in that car? You think it's Tasha? I told y'all Rochelle wasn't dead. I told y'all Rochelle was coming back. Y'all talking about some. Now LaToya Luckett said that her manager didn't get the call. Let me tell y'all something. They can't tell us stuff like this. Because they need the power, the element of surprise. I knew all along when they said Basie was dead, but Rochelle was in the wind, it wasn't no need for them. When they didn't kill Rochelle's character, I knew she was going to make a return. Now, the question is, how much damage is she going to do this time around? Anyway, y'all, that is Greenleaf. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.